we had the Styrian Grand Prix, which is just the Austrian Grand Prix version 2, a week later than the first one. Because I want to see what
The first ever Styrian Grand Prix.
at the same track as the Austrian Grand Prix. With the same number of fans, none. But yeah, so we had that, and Lewis Hamilton did what he does, which he didn't do in the first one because he was robbed by Albon. He did what he does, won the Styrian Grand Prix, Bottas in second, Verstappen in third. How come? Who came fourth again? Norris
came fourth or fifth.
Norris passed Albon, didn't he?
Albon.
Yeah, Norris passed Albon.
No, he passed the racing points, didn't he?
Oh, sorry, who am I thinking then? Must be Sainz I'm thinking. Sorry.
He passed Perez and the other racing point, and then I think Albon came fourth. I think.
Oh, Albon came fourth. Oh, yeah, no, sorry. Yes, you know, I'm thinking it was Perez who was battling Albon, and he tried to pass him. I think it was just on the last lap, and they collided, and he got damaged.
Yeah.
You're right. Albon finished fourth in the end. Norris fifth. What a drive. Perez sixth. Stroll seventh. Ricciardo eighth. Sainz ninth. Kvyat 10th. And you're wondering, I've gone down to 10, and we ain't said Vettel, we ain't said Leclerc. Where are the Ferraris? Well, I can tell you that before one lap, they'd already crashed. Before 2 laps completed, they were both out of the race. It's an embarrassment. It is an embarrassment to Ferrari because they've already got a poor car. We saw that from the first 2 qualifying in terms of Austrian and Styrian. And we saw it in the first race. Obviously, Leclerc got up onto the podium, but there was a lot of clash. I mean, half the field were gone. So we capitalized on that. But then in qualifying for this one, 10th and 11th, Leclerc didn't even make it into Q3, which is embarrassing overall. And then to collide at the first corner, it's an absolute mess. It's an absolute mess. And before we haven't really come into it, I've got a question from, is the right one? Sorry. From someone on Twitter regarding, here we go. So he has Shades of Brazil 2019. Leclerc crashed into Vettel again. I just can't see them. This is a Ferrari fan. As you can see his name. Charles Leclerc is my guy. I just can't see this team improving soon. If you are in Sebastian Vettel at the end of the season, do you think he should just retire? Or if he wants to chase Schumacher's record, go to Mercedes? Now, I don't know where he's going with the Schumacher thing. Because he ain't catching that record. He's on 4. He ain't winning 3 more. Even if he went to Mercedes, he ain't winning 3 more. Lewis Hamilton ain't letting him win 3 more. Because that means he's going to beat Schumacher's record whilst beating Hamilton. Like 6. Hamilton's got 6. That's not happening. I think we spoke about last week in terms of whether he should retire or not. So we don't have to go over it again. But do you see him going to Mercedes, Carl? Do you see that as a viable option for him?
Not a chance.
Crash into Hamilton every week. Nah.
I mean, Mercedes would look at it and, you know, analyze the situation and be like, he would just bring too many problems to the team. It wouldn't be the cohesion. I think they've always brought in someone that will kind of maximize cohesion between Hamilton and whoever they bring in. So I know I can't see him going Mercedes. I mean, why would they even get rid of Bottas? He's the perfect number 2 for Hamilton. The perfect number 2.
Yeah, I mean, I can't personally see any reason why they would get rid of Bottas, especially if they're finishing like Mercedes. They say they don't care in it as long as it's 1-2. They don't care what order. So as long as they win the drivers and they win the constructors, they don't care who does it. So if Bottas is finishing second or finishing first at times, there's no reason to change it. In reality, and you know, you got a kick out the backside a couple of seasons ago, and last season he really stepped it up and put some pressure on Hamilton, especially in the first half of the season. Anyway, but yeah, it's a mess at Ferrari. I don't know what's going to happen to them this season. the pace of the car isn't there. Obviously, they've got driver issues in terms of clearly there's a lack of respect, you would say, because the fact that you keep crashing, you're not even thinking about your other driver. For Leclerc to dive in, and it's almost saying it's all Leclerc's fault. In this case, it was his fault. But in past, we've seen other issues. But for you to dive in at the first corner and try to bully and force your way through, for me, it's just nonsensical. Absolutely nonsensical. So I'm not too away from Ferrari because we don't need to keep going over them. But Ramsey, who were you most impressed with today, other than Hamilton, if he did impress you? I mean, he might not be impressed him.
Lando Norris had another good race, best race of his career so far, even though he was on the podium last week, wasn't he? Another good race from him. Benefited on the last lap from the racing points, but you have to be there to pick up on the mistakes of the other drivers, and he was there on the last lap, really just behind the racing points, looking for a decent finish. Ended up taking 5th place. So there's a he's flying at the moment, Lando Norris, and we got another good driver on our hands coming through here. May kick him on to the next stage. It's early days yet, but we'll see what happens this season. And he's got with Lando Norris, he's got a bit of a little bit like Verstappen about him, where it's like, especially this season, where it's like the car is holding up well, so I'm going to just push it to the max.
What about him?
And Verstappen, not Verstappen, not in terms of, but listen, hear me out. Now, hear me out. I'm not saying it is as good as a driver. I'm saying the drive to push the car as far as it can go, not in terms of the quality of the driver, but the mentality to try and push the car.
No. If he's pushing the car as far as it can go, then you're saying if he's in a Red Bull, he'll be beating Verstappen.
You never know.
I'm not saying he would be, but I was saying if decent. I mean, he's got a 3rd place and a 5th place finish already. How much worse can he do in the Red Bull? You know what I'm saying? How much worse can he do? Obviously it's early days, isn't it? We'll see how the season pans out for him. But it's looking good. He's looking good so far, man.
Sorry, so before I continue, man, I know I wasn't going to talk about Ferrari, but you've been bigging up Leclerc on here, on social media. What happened to your boy today? Why? Why would he make that lunge? You have to respond. You have to. I need something.
It's what I said. What did I say? Literally, what I said last week was have a bit of patience. Have a bit of patience, and see what happens. Sometimes you might get a decent run and you might catch a man on the line or whatever. You might be able to get a 2nd place like he did. Whereas this week, I feel like because he had the penalty as well, we didn't have a great qualifying, or had a poor qualifying, and then the penalty pushback. So he started in 14th. I think he's just so eager to try and get up the grid as fast as possible. And could have been a great move if he got it past Vettel, but at what risk? And that's exactly it. You didn't need to take the risk then. Like the way Vettel's been going on, you could have just passed. You would have been. You got 71 laps to pass him. You would have been all right. You would have nicked him at some point. But he didn't. He was so eager. He saw the gap, and sometimes we credit drivers for taking the risk on the gap and when they make it. But I just feel like it was so early on that the gap was just there for a split second. And who was it? I was listening to commentary and maybe David Coulthard talking about it, saying he's done it before where you just kind of you go in for it and then straight away I shouldn't have done that. But you kind of you see the gap and your instinct just says the gap's there, I'm gone and I can do it. And then, but as soon as you did it, I really shouldn't have done that. And I feel like, and he come out, to be fair to him, he come out and apologized. Said, look, it was my fault. I shouldn't have done it. Yeah. He said he apologized to the team. He apologized to Vettel. Was that, it was my fault. I shouldn't have done it. And he understands. I just feel like it was, his eagerness to just try and go as fast as possible. He costs obviously not just him, but the whole team. He said he even said it was selfish of him. He cost the whole team the race today. DNF
Was it the one crash?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm sure the team will be fuming at him because it's all right if you took out yourself, but to take out your own teammate doing it, yeah, when there was no need, it was just poor. Hopefully he will learn from that and we won't see that as much again. But as I say, you want to get those mistakes out from early, man. So these things just don't constantly happen because the car, as you said, the car isn't already the best. So why make things even worse for yourself?
Javern, what's your take on the race overall? What are you gonna say?
I just wanted to, first of all, want to say, see, Carl, I told you it will be a whole different race. So it doesn't matter if they have the race twice at the same place. It was always going to be a different outcome. So I just wanted to start with that. Two,
We said every race in Austria, yeah.
it will be a different result the next race. Hopefully Hamilton still wins, but it will be different from second downwards. That's what I wanted to say first. Second of all, if Ferrari keep this up, I'm actually excited to see what else happens because there's some other cars that are doing really well. Like once again, they were picking up some fastest laps towards the end, almost catching Albon. It's a shame that the wing, he damaged his wing in the process. Like it's actually, if it keeps on this where Ferrari's pretty much out of the race, it will be good to see what we can get from the other races in terms of positions, because it'll be good to see a good mix-up. Obviously, Mercedes and Red Bull will be up there, but it'll be good to see what the others can do, and they can. This could be their chance for some of the other drivers to actually get some points on the board and actually show. You never know what could come from this. Obviously, Sainz has already come into Ferrari.
Yeah,
I'm just excited to see what's going to happen this season. If Ferrari's actually this bad, where they're just lingering down, because I don't understand how these other cars are better than Ferraris right now.
They had they said they put on some upgrades for this race. So I mean, we didn't see those come to fruition in qualifying.
Okay.
I don't know how it would have. When I say come to fruition, obviously they came 10th and 11th. So obviously, but there was a lot of rain, so it's a bit tough. We didn't really get to see how it would work in the race, but yeah, I think it's going to be a tough season for them. It's going to be a very tough season for them.
That's what I want to see. It'll be good to see.
But I do like
get from Racing Point.
The Force India. Not Force India. What's it called now? Racing Point.
Racing Point.
Yeah, this is Force India. I think. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like Racing.
Do you see Renault launched a protest against their car.
Against whose car?
Racing Point. They've launched a protest to the board about their car.
Don't they learn from these things?
No, what are they saying?
Well, because Racing Point had basically said that they copied their style on Mercedes of their car, basically. And Renault have come out. They basically said that they're not going to discuss it, but they've submitted a request to the stewards of the event.
Yeah, because
to look at the legality of the Racing Point car.
Mercedes from previous year.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but I thought this was common knowledge. I thought everyone knew that, and it was like,
yeah, it was.
I think it's last year's Mercedes car. Is it last
year's one?
Before?
Yeah.
What's the problem? Like everyone's seen it. Everyone knows how the car is because you've seen it for a year, two, everything. That's why they keep changing, because it's like, oh, we need to add this new thing, and then no one can really know. So unless they say Mercedes, they bought like the blueprint of Mercedes. If the car's on the grid and the car's in the paddock and all that, and they see it, then so what if they copy the design? Like, as long as it's not trading actual specs and those kind of stuff, I don't know.
So how does what is it that happens? So you see the cars that like run like a Mercedes engine or whatever the case may be. Do they actually why would Mercedes give them that engine? Or is it that they've developed the engine like them? How does it actually work here?
Mercedes, Mercedes, they are a manufacturer in terms of, a constructor in terms of designing the car, and they also provide engines. So if they provide the engine for another team, then they're selling it. So that's why they'll do it, because they make money from it. But they're not gonna give them the best engine, because Mercedes themselves have their own car, which is the one that Hamilton and Bottas drive. So they'll give, if they're going to sell any other engines, they will sell a previous one, a weaker version to other teams. As long as
So
it's
then,
not-
what are they trying to investigate?
But you said,
That's what I don't know.
is it the model that they're investigating? You're saying?
Well, they're not said specifically. They just said they've submitted a request to the about the legality of the car So it could be anything.
That
Nothing to do with the model, I think. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that happens. But my eyes actually, I'm looking at Ocon because I was so disappointed that he didn't have a drive last year. I thought he deserved one, and he's done all right so far. He's done decent. He's in the Renault. Next year he's going to be joined by Fernando Alonso, which could be interesting. I don't know. We'll see what Alonso.
He went out today, innit?
Ocon. Yeah, he had overheated.
Yeah.
But he was driving well at the time. I can't remember where he finished in the first race, but yeah, he's going to be joined by Alonso next year as the car moves as well. So there's going to be a lot of change next year. But yeah, I got my eye, as Jermaine said, I got my eye on a few of the midfield racers. I think obviously today is its own race, but I see this kind of being the pattern for the rest of the season. Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen. Those are generally going to be your top three. The order may change from a race here to a race there, but generally I think it'll be Mercedes up in the top two, and Verstappen just pushing as much as he can. Because the reality is most teams haven't been able to do much over the lockdown period. Haven't been able to make certain changes they want, so they're kind of going in raw compared to how they would if it was a normal season, in terms of upgrades and that kind of stuff. So yeah, we'll see. As it stands, I think Bottas is still top because he won the first race as well. Let me get the standings up. Give me a second. Standings. Yeah, Bottas top on 43 points. Lewis Hamilton on 37 points. There we go. You see that? A bit small. Yeah, Bottas top 40, 43, Hamilton 37, Lando Norris in third, Charles Leclerc in fourth. So yeah, I think Renault, Racing Point, I'll be interested to see how they do. Not Renault, McLaren. Yeah, so McLaren and Racing Point, I'll be interested how they do this year. But I'm still backing obviously Hamilton to get over the line and match Schumacher's record. Not, Vettel ain't doing that. Vettel ain't matching. But Vettel has won his last championship 4 in a row. That's his record. His record is that he won 4 in a row. I don't know if anyone else has done that. Maybe they have, but 4 in a row. Well done. Hold that.
Well, that was when he was at Red Bull, right?
Yeah. And I think most of the hoping.
I remember when they dominated.
It was mad. That car was crazy.
That car was so crazy. I remember that.
And I'm sure most of them are thinking, all right, next season, if we can maybe steal a march like Red Bull did back then, maybe we can have a good season, a better season. But for this year, I think it's going to be pretty much the same.